Life Audio.
So these are three easy, practical things that you can do to get this fresh start. Hello and welcome to the Encourager Podcast, where we have encouraging conversations to help you joyfully harmonize your home and work life. I'm your host, Rebecca Scott. I'm a wife, mother, designer, coach, and author. I'm here to help encourage and empower you to confidently make decisions that work for you and your stage of life, whatever that might be. Hello, encouragers. On this week's podcast, I'm going to have a super practical approach to getting a fresh start. Even when I ask you this question, do you need a fresh start? What happens to you? What's your immediate response? Yeah. Is it like, yes? Is it I don't know. I think a lot of us need a fresh start. And sometimes this happens in the month of September when you're just kind of like off of the summer mode. And sometimes it happens in October, and sometimes it happens in February, and sometimes it happens in June. Point being made is like, there are just seasons. And sometimes we can't name the month that it happens where you're just like, I just need a fresh start. And you're just craving it. Well, I've got 3 practical steps, and the order of them is very important. This time you do need to do them in order. This will give you a fresh start and perhaps a fresh perspective of what you want to pursue. Okay? Remember, the order is important. And as I've been trying to do in the first 10 minutes of listening to this podcast, you will be able to implement these things. I'm going to create a very simple resource for this that'll be available on our website, theencouragerpodcast.com. That's just a little worksheet that you can print off or do it digitally. Just kind of ask yourself these 3 steps and walk you through what it means for you. It's very practical. You can apply it immediately, and I think will really give you the fresh start you are craving. So here's some permissions of what you might be feeling with this fresh start. You might be feeling overwhelmed, or maybe you feel a little bit chaotic or a lot chaotic, or maybe you're just bored. I mean, we all know, like, yes, we're not bored in the amount of things and roles and stages, but sometimes we are a little bit bored, and it's okay to say that. I'm a little bit bored with things. So if you do these steps in this order, you will start to see results and you will feel a fresh start. First, clean. This may be the last thing you want to do as you're craving a fresh start, but think about it. When you just clean one area, and permission here, you guys, to think just 1% and only do it at 80%, you will feel lighter when you clean something. You start to see things more clearly, and the chances are that it spreads to the other areas that you also want to clean. But we're just going to start with one. And when we start with that one area that we are cleaning, we start to feel momentum and we start to feel lighter. I want you to think of the examples in your own life. When you just do the dishes, like the kitchen is a mess and it feels chaotic and you've had one of those weeks, but you're like, okay, if I just do the dishes, and you do the dishes, sometimes even begrudgingly, but you look at the clean dishes and you're like, that feels better, right? Or when you just clean your bathroom sink. Pro tip, I hide a magic eraser behind my sink so that I can just pull it out real quick and wipe the sink down, because sometimes it's too overwhelming to clean the whole bathroom. But I'm like, just my sink with my little magic eraser tucked behind it. It's been such a game changer. It's like you just clean your sink and you're like, oh, I feel a little bit better. Or when you just clean your desk, when you just tidy up your desk, even if you're not going to use a solution, you're like, I'm just going to tidy up my desk, you do feel lighter. So the first step is to clean. Now, I want you to pick the area and write a list to do in that area if it's needed. Here's permission too. If you are at the sheer stage of burnout or exhaustion, writing a list might be like, well, I can't clean that area because I haven't written the list. That is not the purpose here. If that overwhelms you, you guys don't do that. Do not write the list. Just get started. Okay. But if writing the list helps you to narrow, like, okay, this is the area that I want to clean the most, and the list excites you, then that's you. Then I do want you to write the list. Okay. And then tackle it. Big surprise. Tackle the list, or if it's just in your head, just tackle cleaning that area. Now, also permission, this might be a whole room, or it might just be an area, a desk area, the sink, whatever it is, okay? I want you to start tackling it. Put on your favorite song list. Maybe it's a podcast. Maybe you're lighting a candle. Maybe it's a hot drink. Think through what would just be that little tiny treat as you're doing it. Song list, podcast, candle, drink, whatever that is. And you need to set a timer. Okay, you guys know how I feel about timing everything. If you've listened to any of my podcast episodes, I highly encourage it. Remember, we are not 100%ing this. That means we are not taking it to the nth degree and we're crossing off everything on the list. We are only 80%ing it because it's less intimidating. We're only 80%ing this, but I want you to set a timer because we're only doing it 80%. And after you set that timer, whatever is done in that amount of time is enough for now. Doesn't mean you won't approach it later. But it also gives you permission to not approach it later. You're only doing this at 80% and you are setting the timer. When the timer goes off, you are done for this time. And do not set the timer for longer than 1 hour. What? I know, you guys, that's it. So if you actually decided to tack the garage, you maybe only be able to do a third of it, right? You're only setting the timer no longer than an hour, okay? This is a fresh start, not a whole do-over. That's why I'm giving you those parameters. We're doing it at 80% and we are not doing anything longer than an hour. This is a fresh start, not a whole do-over. The point of the first step of clean is to give you momentum for the rest of the steps for the fresh start. Okay? Also, permission here. Think about just cleaning your camera roll or cleaning up your calendar for 6 months. Or maybe it's just cleaning up your desktop. This doesn't have to be a whole area. Remember, it can just be an object that you're tidying up. Okay, the second step is to find your joy. What? Yes, joy. You have cleaned out an area and you feel lighter and you have some clarity and you even have some energy to pursue some things, right? Now ask yourself, what brings me joy and how can I find it? So I've lined this up by just answering the simple questions that we also ask for our work system very frequently, which is the who, what, when, where, how, and why. So you're going to answer those to find your joy. I want you to picture this though. Right after you got done cleaning that, what happened to you? Did you dance after the cleanup? Did you sing? Did you hum? Did you take a nap? Did you read a book? Did you take a walk? Did you call a friend? Did you worship? Like what happened after you cleaned that area? Because you already feel lighter and the chances are that might indicate where your joy comes from. Not necessarily coming from cleaning out the area, but where you're experiencing it in your body, you're like, wait a minute, here is the joy. And once you have the clarity, you want to pursue joy. It's a natural thing to want to pursue the joy. So let's ask ourselves the first question, who? Who is it that gives you joy? I know for me personally, of course, it is Jesus Christ. He is my source of joy. He is my source of light, all of those things. But there's also some awesome human beings that give me joy. So answer that for you. Who are people in your life that bring you joy? My twin sister, for sure. I love spending time with her. I have some girlfriends that I love spending time with. My spouse brings me joy in just that we get to serve one another. And he's so opposite of how I think with things that it does actually give me joy to see another perspective because I know I can lean on him. So who in your life brings you joy? Answer that question. What in your life brings you joy? This you might have to sit with for a little bit, and the what can be very simple and it can be very complex. It could be like this cup of tea brings me joy. What brings you joy? It might be the walk. It might be exercising. It might be work. What brings you joy? Answer that question for yourself. Then when? When do you have joy? Is it early in the morning? Is it late in the evening? Is it all day long? Is it when you're doing this? When do you have joy? And sit with that for a little bit. And if these are hard to answer because you're like, it's been a while since I had some joy, I want you to pursue a few things. So think of the joy, like we know how to okay, I think this is when I have joy. How can you insert more of that into your week? So this is zooming out, maybe just on the week, and find pockets of time when you could pursue joy. These pockets might be in little tiny pieces. So it might be you take a longer lunch each day. Okay, just like 10, 15 minutes, you guys. Maybe it's getting up a little bit early on Saturday morning to have some time to yourself to pursue joy. Maybe it's late Sunday afternoon. Maybe it's Sunday evenings. Where could you find some pockets to start inserting some more joy? After you've answered these questions, this will make more sense for you, but find these pockets of time for when you're going to experience more joy. Then ask yourself, where can I experience this joy? Now you can think of it physically, like in your body. Is it from dancing, singing, walking, reading, roasting something? Is it like working out? Is it working? Like, where do you experience this joy? Is it a location? Is it at your farm? Is it at your lake house? Is it on your deck? Is it in a gym? Like, where do you experience this joy? Is it at your church when you're volunteering? Is it in your, like for me, is it in your studio when you're accomplishing things? Yes. Answer the question, where? And a little bit of permission that if you have access to this where more frequently, insert more things into that area. Meaning, take work on the deck for the afternoon. If you have a lot of joy in your deck, take your work to the deck for an afternoon. Take that longer lunch so that you can go for that walk that brings you a lot of joy when you're in nature. Go to that cute coffee shop so that you can work, or that you can just get restored with just something you didn't have to make yourself. Think about your where and how can you manufacture some more time in that area to have more joy. Now answer the question, how? How can I get more joy? Meaning, how can you manufacture it? So recall a time or a place that joy was experienced and reverse engineer that. What was the setup there? What were you doing? Who was with you? Mostly like, what were you doing to experience that joy? And see, can you actually just manufacture it? Think about those pockets of time that we talked about. Could you insert and manufacture some joy in those pockets of time to get there? And the last question is why? Ask yourself, why did I start this? When we're looking at trying to find our joy, we ask ourselves, why? Why do I want to pursue joy? Because it permeates the entire family when you're the one with so much joy. And in pursuing that joy, ask yourself, why? Why did I start this? Remember your reasons for starting the job or starting the family or adding this thing to your plate. What was your initial plans for it? And go and pursue that version again. Don't get stuck in the weeds. We get so stuck in the weeds. And the how, which raising my hand, guilty. I love the how. I'm very practical. As you guys know, I love the how. But sometimes I need to zoom out and go, wait a minute, why? Why did I start this? Why did I pursue this? And get back in the why and worry less about the how. Because the more we start to go, well, how do I grow it? How do I nurture it? How do I pursue it? We forget why we started in the first place and lose that sense of joy. Now, if this step number 2, find your joy, feels heavy right now, you're just in a heavy season, go back to doing those tiny pockets of time to pursue the joy. Now, this may mean just an hour on your deck longer, or maybe it's only 30 minutes you're allowed. It may be a latte that week with a friend. Like, find those pockets. If this feels super heavy and you're like, there's no way I can answer all these questions, permission to do it at 1%. So find the pockets. If you're going to do the only 1% because this season is heavy, find a pocket of time where you can experience joy. You got to do at least that much. We're called to find joy. One of my affirmations that I read every morning is, joy is my birthright. And if the season isn't quite as heavy, go through those steps. Answer those questions. We need to insert joy so we can remember our why we are doing the things that we do. And for the final part of the second step is, I want you to resist the urge to compare your version of joy to others. Their version of joy will be different than yours. And that's okay, which is always why I give permission. If sometimes your me time, like for me, I want to do burpees. For others, they're like, I want to take a nap. Okay. So don't compare your version of joy to others. Your version of joy is personal. It's what God's laid on your heart. It's how He in particularly made you. Don't compare your joy to others. And your body will show you where this joy is because He has uniquely created. So just take some time with it, answer the questions, and sit with it. And ask God to reveal it. Hey, I'm having a hard time figuring this out. Can you reveal to me where the joy is that you laid on my heart? And then be on the lookout. We need to be expectant of the feeling of joy. Joy will come back. Be expectant. Ask God to reveal it. Okay, third step, cancel. I love this one. And everybody was like, good, because joy was a little bit deeper thinking, and cancel I can totally handle. Okay, first step, you've cleaned things. You've got a little momentum. Second step, you're like, ooh, I got some joy. I'm gonna keep manufacturing this. I'm gonna have more joy. And then you're like, you know what? Now that I have all this joy and I know what it feels like, I want to cancel something, right? Let's cancel and clean things up. Yes, the first step was clean, but this step is to actually just cancel things. So zoom out again. I love this phrase. I want you to really picture me. Zoom out Look at your calendar, and then I'm also going to give you permission to look out 6 months from now. Don't just look at the month. You're going to look at your month. I get it. But I also want you to zoom out a little bit further because our natural cadence is just to look at 4 weeks, right? Because it's just the one sitting in front of us. I want you to zoom out a little further, look at 6 months and go, all right, what can I cancel? First of all, it's still, rude to cancel something that's only a month away, but it's not rude to cancel something that's 6 months away. It's wise. Think of that. When you tell somebody you're canceling something the day of or the week of or the month of, they're like, hey, gosh, that was kind of inconvenient. But when you tell someone that you're canceling something that was going to happen 6 months from there, like, oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Hello, right? Such an easy thing. So zoom out 6 months and figure out, maybe it's a calendar thing. We're going to talk about different points here. Is there anything that you need to cancel? It did not bring you joy. It will only overwhelm you. Is there anything that you can cancel from now until 6 months from now? And here's also permission. Of course, I will give you permission. Do you need to cancel or just rearrange it? It's just like, whoa, this season is super heavy. I did not anticipate this. Can I get a rain check? Can I change that to a different season? So yes, I'd love for you to be able to cancel some things, but sometimes you can't. And so maybe it's just a rain check or rearrangement of that thing on your calendar. Okay. What apps on my phone can I cancel? Are there some apps you're not using? Cancel them. What shows can I cancel? Ooh, this one. You guys. I just made some people uncomfortable. Like, I don't want to cancel my shows. One of the things that comes up frequently in coaching is how much TV time they're spending, and not in a judgment zone. I just make them record it. And they're like, I had no idea I was consuming that much TV from shows. And it hasn't been very long that we've been talking about binge watching, which, by the way, I don't know anybody who has time for binge watching. Not that I'm making myself superior, because I do crave it, but I would get bored too quickly. Like, we didn't used to use the word binge because we didn't have time for that. So we still don't have time for it. We're just making time for it. Okay, so just a little bit there, you guys. What shows should you cancel? Maybe it's like they're not even bad. It's like it's not that you even feel guilty about them. They're not serving you, your time, your goals, your visions, your family, your spouse anymore. Like, what shows should you cancel? What desktop apps can I cancel? If you have a desktop in your old school, or maybe it's your laptop, maybe it's your iPad, is there any apps on there that you need to cancel? This is a great time. It's kind of in the cleaning area as well. But what can you cancel? Take a look at your subscriptions. What can I cancel? What no longer serves me? What am I like, nope, that does not give me joy. Moving on, cancel. What procedures or methods in your work system can you cancel? Does it really work for me, or just add work to do this method or this procedure? Maybe you need to cancel it. You're in denial that it hasn't worked for so long, and you just need to cancel it. And maybe it's just cancel it for now. Remember this, just because the method is efficient does not mean it is essential. I want you to really think on that when you're canceling some work things, or you're canceling some life things for that matter. Just because the method is efficient does not mean it is essential. So should you cancel it? Should you cancel, I use this in quotations, should you cancel some relationships, or rather redirect them to be more healthy? Remember, the goal is for a fresh start. So if you're stuck in relationships that are just really toxic or going down a bad path, is there some version of canceling you can do? Now, I am not giving you permission to cancel a relationship with in-laws or friendships that have lasted for years and years, but is there a way that you can back away that's very polite and very kind for yourself, and maybe just for a season, you quote unquote cancel it for a while, so you can pursue this fresh start to approach it with a more healthy boundaries for yourself as well? Is there some relationships that you can take a look at and cancel? Believe me, I'm not giving you permission to just cut things off, but is there a way that you can just pause them for a little bit as you pursue this fresh start so you can approach them with better boundaries? Okay. Can you cancel some activities? Guys, I love this one. Take a look. Remember, we're looking 6 months out. You're looking 6 months out. Is there activities where you need to sit down with a kiddo or the spouse and be like, you know what? Can we please cancel this? Remember what we were like at the end of that season? We were totally stressed out. Remember what we were like during the season? It wasn't even fun. We were just doing our time. Answer the questions that you're like, should I? Should you cancel some activities? It might even be some activities that you serve at, like you felt like you were called to serve it, but it's no longer making the impact that you wanted. And it's rather like stressing you out. And maybe even the people that are serving are like, you need to take a break. Maybe you don't even know that. Maybe there's some things and some activities that you need to cancel because it's no longer serving you or the people you were meant to serve in it. Do you need to cancel some activities? Remember, sometimes with canceling, it's just a break. It's just a break for a time. It doesn't have to mean cancel forever. It might just mean a break as you pursue this fresh start. Okay, remember, the order is important. Step number 1, clean something. Step number 2, find what gives you joy. Step number 3, start canceling. I super like step number 3. I mean, obviously I like joy because you know how I am and you know how energetic I am. So I love the joy thing, but I've really dialed that in. Like I know where my joy, my what, when, why, where, and how of my joy. But there's something super refreshing and maybe even sexy about saying cancel. Like, especially as like thinned out as we can become in these stages of life. Like even just the word fresh start, I'm like, oh yes, a fresh start. So these are 3 easy, practical things that you can do to get this fresh start. I can't wait to see you guys using both our Facebook and our Instagram community to talk about your own fresh start. Also, make sure to communicate with us. What are you canceling? Because it gives us a little bit of permission or perspective on what we too are operating with. Tell us where you're getting your joy, because sometimes for some people it's very hard to figure out where their joy is. It's been a while since they experienced it. So we want to know from everybody, hey, what are you trying? And then let us know what you're cleaning. I would fall over if you guys sent me befores and afters of what you cleaned up. That, you guys, next level. Bonus points for you guys that send us the befores and afters. We would love it. Okay, remember to download the resource on our website, theencouragerpodcast.com, for a fresh start. We'll give you a couple of bullet points that you can just kind of reflect on this. I say I would reflect on it for about 30 to 45 minutes. I always like to kind of give you guys a perspective of how long it should take. Only do that at 80%. If you can only do it for 10 minutes at a time, that's totally fine. That's probably 1%ing it. 80%, whatever that looks like for you. But I do encourage you to marry this with not just a thought pattern. As you're listening to this and you're consuming it, take it to the next level and have a physical touch point with this, which would be that downloadable. Like take it to the next level. Take it to your spouse, take it to your family, ask them. Maybe you've got a kiddo who just needs a fresh start. Maybe they had a bad start to the year. Maybe you just see them going down this kind of, depression and anxiety. Let's ask them like, hey, how about a fresh start? Let's do some practical things here. Ooh, I just got goosebumps on that, you guys. Think about if you gave your child permission to tell you where they experienced joy. Like we can recognize it as parents very quickly, but what if they got to tell you, actually, I feel the most joyful when, and then wait for the anticipation of what you might be able to serve them with. That would be amazing. Okay, encouragers, until next time, we got this because he's got us. Thanks so much for tuning in. If the Encourager podcast has helped or encouraged you in any way, please subscribe to the show and leave a 5-star review. And then help us spread the message of encouragement and hope by sharing the podcast with others. Ready to bring more organization and joy into your life? The Encourager Academy helps you harmonize your home and work life through our online course and coaching programs. Our 5-system approach, me, food, family, work, and home, tackles your biggest obstacles, offering lifetime access to video lessons and guided worksheets. Learn at your own pace with practical tools and strategies. Enroll now at encourageracademy.com and use code WeGotThis for $50 off. Are you ready to finally create systems that help you thrive in both home and work life? Join my 10-week coaching cohort designed for busy women like you. Together, we'll create customized, foolproof systems for managing your home, business, and personal life with joy and purpose. With live coaching, practical tools, and a supportive community, you'll leave feeling organized, confident, and in control. Don't wait. Spots are limited to 10 women. Visit encouragerpodcast.com to apply.